Here's an example of a coterminal angles problem in ALEKS. Now before we get into this, I just want to go over a few things with you. First of all, coterminal angles are angles that have the same initial and terminal sides. So the initial side is where the angle starts, and we usually think of that as the positive x-axis. That's the initial side. And then the terminal side is where it ends. Okay? So here's an example of a 120-degree angle. Okay? So if we could also start at the same initial side, positive x-axis, and rotate all the way around to 360 degrees, and then back to the same coterminal side, and that would be 480 degrees. Okay? So we can basically figure that out. If we had 120 degrees, we would simply add 360 degrees to that to get the 480 degree coterminal side. Okay? Now, that would be easy if they gave you the 120 degree and then you just had to find out the 480 degree. But it's going to go backwards, so I want you to think about what you would do if you had the 480 degrees and you wanted to get back and find out what angle was between 0 and 360 that's coterminal to that. Okay? Because that's what you're going to be doing. All right, and then let's look at if I have this 120 degree angle, what is the negative angle that starts at the positive x-axis and ends at that same coterminal side? Okay, sorry, the same terminal side, so that there'll be coterminal angles. Well, if you take 120 degrees and you subtract 360 from it, that's when you get a negative 240 degrees. And that is our coterminal angle to 120. Okay? 480 degrees is also coterminal to negative 240 degrees. There's a whole bunch of angles that will be coterminal here. Okay? These are just a few examples. So when you're doing these problems, you kind of need to be familiar with these specific angles. So most people know, okay, we can consider this 0 degrees, but if we rotate all the way around once, that's 360 degrees. Well, that's the same as 0 and 2 pi radians. Okay? All the way around to 180 degrees, halfway around, so a half rotation around would be 180 degrees or pi radians. Okay? A quarter rotation is 90 degrees or pi over 2. So 3/4 rotation is 270 degrees or 3 pi over 2. So you need to kind of be familiar with these. All right, so let's look at an example of an actual problem. Okay, they ask you to find an angle between 0 and 360 degrees that is coterminal with 690 degrees. So we know that that is bigger than 360 degrees, right? So one rotation would be 360 degrees. So if we took 690 and subtract 360 from it, that's going to give us 330 degrees, which is between 0 and 360. So that's what I'm looking for. So basically I'm rotating all the way around and then to 360 degrees from there. I'm sorry, 330 degrees. And it ends there. So this is a 690 degree angle. But if I just look at from here directly to that to that terminal side, that is 330 degrees. So this is the answer for part A. Okay? For part B, they give us a negative angle to start with. So what that means is I am rotating in the negative direction. So instead of going counterclockwise, I'm going clockwise from my positive x-axis. So I'm heading in this direction. Okay. Well, I know that 5 pi over 3 is going to be bigger than, right, and it's bigger than pi. Pi would be like 3 pi over 3. Okay. So it's somewhere over here. Quadrant 1 or quadrant 2. Okay, so what we can do is, if this was let's say that was a negative 100 degrees. Well, I would add 360 to it, and it'd give me the positive angle. So that's the same idea here, but in radians. So I'm going to take 2 pi. So whenever I think of 360, I think 2 pi. So I'm going to take 2 pi, I'm going to add that to a negative 5 pi over 3. Okay? So I'm going to multiply this by 3 over 3. Think of this as 2 pi over 1, so I get a common denominator here. 6 pi over 3 plus a negative 5 pi over 3. So once I have the same denominators, I can add 6 pi plus a negative 5 pi, which is pi over 3. Pi over 3 is up here. So this is pi over 3. Okay. All the way around in the negative direction here, going clockwise, that represents negative 5 pi over 3. So these are two coterminal angles. So the answer for part B is pi over 3. Okay, let's look at another example. So find the angle between 0 and 2 pi that is coterminal with a negative 4 pi over 3. Okay, so negative 4 pi over 3. So we're going in the negative direction, so remember I'm going to add 2 pi to that. So I'm going to multiply that by 3 over 3, just like I did before. If that was a 6, I'd multiply it by 6 over 6. So that gives me 6 pi over 3 plus a negative 4 pi over 3, which gives me 2 pi over 3. Okay, so 2 pi over 3, with my experience, I know that that is over here in this quadrant. Okay, so that is 2 pi over 3. So going in the negative direction, that was my negative 4 pi over 3. Those are coterminal sides. So this is my answer for part A. All right. For part B, what is an angle between 0 and 360 that is coterminal to 390? Well, I know 390 is bigger than 360, so if I subtract 360 from it, I get 30 degrees. So that's 30 degrees here, but remember, if I would have gone all the way around and then back to this 30-degree terminal side, that is my 390 degrees. So this is part B, it's 30 degrees.